This is Forge Daily with Mackenzie Barwell on the Forge Audio Network.
Forge fans, welcome back to another episode and happy Friday. I am your host, Mackenzie Barwell, here to give you all things Forge FC. We are quickly approaching yet another game day, this time back at Tim Hortons Field. Your Forge FC will face off against Atletico Ottawa once again this Sunday at 6 p.m. In today's episode, we will dive a little deeper into the history between these two teams and what went down at practice this morning. Afterwards, I had the opportunity to chat with David Edgar and Woobens Pacius. But before we get into those conversations, let's check in with the CPL standings. Going into Sunday's match, Forge currently sitting in third place, still with 16 points after not being able to pull away within these past few matchups. Ottawa now with 11 points, sitting in 7th, just above Vancouver FC. But as we've seen, standings don't tell us a whole lot. This is just to give you some perspective. As Charlie mentioned yesterday, we can anticipate a very defensively strong and potentially conservative Ottawa. They are not a team easily scored against. Mind you, Ottawa has only ever beaten Forge one time. Last time these two teams met up on May 27th, Forge was able to come away with a result in a 1-0 victory, but overall a very contested matchup. Today in practice, Forge starting with some 1v1 finishing drills, then moving into some small-sided 4v4, working quick in transition directly to the goal. Coach Bobby talked a little bit about the importance of stretching the pitch, especially against Ottawa this weekend. I spoke to Woobs a little bit about what training looked like this week and what we can expect from Forge on Sunday.
Woobs, thanks for joining me. It was a long weekend for you guys, going to Winnipeg and then traveling to BC, coming back super late on Tuesday. What was the focus this week at training, especially trying to recover while simultaneously also preparing for Sunday?
Yeah, it's a little bit difficult. Like you said, a lot of traveling, and we still have the jet lag. The night it was difficult for me to sleep at a good time.
Yeah.
Because in Vancouver, we're 3 hours
ahead,
yeah.
You traveled 3 different time zones within the span of 3 days, so.
I think too, so it's pretty difficult. But yeah, we trying to stay focused. Like you said, we have a game on Sunday. The past few games were a bit difficult for us, so we just trying to find a rhythm and be able to get a result Sunday. For the last few days, weeks, we're a bit too, stressed. Maybe we think too much. We just have to get used to what we used to do, which is play freely, and the goal's going to come.
I was also able to speak to former player, now assistant coach, David Edgar, from his professional experience in situations like these ones where a couple games go by and you aren't getting the results that you want. I asked how he can contribute now from a coaching standpoint to keep the players motivated.
Well, I think for me especially, it's getting them to realize that it isn't the end of the world. It really isn't. When you're in it, it feels like it, and it does feel like everything's compounding on top of you, the bad news, the bad calls, whatever it may be, things going against you. But I'm also a big believer in working your way out of that, and I believe hard work is the way to get out of these situations, and just going back to knowing what the body needs and the mind needs, and just clearing yourself a little bit. So if I can pass on any knowledge, it's just that it isn't the end of the world. I got a saying that pressure's for tires, because really it is. There's the pressure you're putting on yourself. You've got to learn how to go through a bit of resilience to gain that bit of strength. And I think that's just what we're doing right now. We haven't, and the problem is when you set a standard that's so high at a club like this, we have done since the beginning. When you do have a spell like this, it feels like the end of the world. So we got to understand that we're going to have these spells, and football's not easy. Being a professional athlete of anything is not easy. You're going to have bad spells, and it's how you come through them.
Do you find that players on the team respond a little bit differently to situations like this, and you kind of have to adapt the way that you coach them depending on the person?
100%. I think that's changing daily, yearly on how you manage players, whether that's how generation of people are acting or whatnot. So it's a little bit different from my day in terms of, listen, head down, you kind of shut up and get the work done. Whereas here, it's more of a, like, how do we get the best of them? How do we figure out what's going to work for them? And again, some players are going through this for the first time in their careers, and we have a group who are probably going through it all together at the first time. So again, reiterating that message that it isn't the end of the world. These things happen, and it happens to the best teams. But the top teams pull themselves out of it quickly.
Pressures for tires, you might say.
Tires. Right.
Okay, shifting to this weekend's matchup on Sunday against Ottawa, can you touch on what you think the keys to success from an offensive standpoint will be? Because they've shown to be a very defensively solid team thus far.
Yeah, we've always, like you say, we've had those battles against Ottawa. We know what they're about. We've been okay breaking them down in the past, and I think even recently we're breaking teams down. It's just that final product, and I think you hope that when one goal goes in, it kind of opens the floodgates and more start coming. We've had the posts and whatnot, but again, hard work. We've got our strikers out there now. The boys are doing the extra work to hit the back of the net, and players are doing those little bits extra. So you're seeing it daily. And again, you can't control the outcome of a game, but you can control what you put in, and that's the effort and the enthusiasm.
All right, and before we wrap up, I should mention Garvin Matusala officially called up to compete with the Haitian national team for the 2023 CONCACAF Gold Cup. I mentioned earlier he was training with them, but as of Wednesday, he is set to compete with the team on the 25th and 29th of this month, and then July 2nd as well. So best of luck to Garvin, and another congratulations. That's it for today's episode and this week of Forge Daily. I hope to see you all here at Tim Hortons Field this Sunday. Weather is looking warm and sunny, so no excuses this weekend. Thank you all for listening, and I will check back in on Monday.
This has been Forge Daily with Mackenzie Barwell. If you like what you heard, please like, follow, subscribe, comment, and share.